Would you believe between 10 and 20% of seniors are bullied? That's right, 10 to 20%. That's a lot. Seniors here, not seventh grade mean kids in class, but senior citizens. This is an important topic to talk about, so stay tuned. Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Scan FYI. And let's say hello to my special guest today, Vinny Smith of Braven Health. Hey, Vinny.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Always a pleasure to have you. And, honestly, an important topic, but pretty sad, actually. So yeah, 10 to 20% of senior citizen. And the thing is, they're being bullied by their peers, not by little kids, by their peers. So this is really, I was surprised. I was surprised to hear this.
Well, I was too, because a number of years I got a call from a senior citizen housing right in Monmouth County, and I won't say the exact location, but they asked me to please come over and talk to their people about bullying. And I was devastated. I was like, that still goes on now? And the answer was, unfortunately, yes. And in actuality, it's not only the immediate bullying between the people that are in the residence or the neighborhood or anywhere. It's also bullying by children of that person when they get on in years. And that's how I usually end up talking about that, but that's for the end. So you got two different types of bullying that we're going to be talking about.
So how would we define senior bullying? So what are we really talking about here?
We're talking about aggressive behavior from one person, sometimes indirectly or directly to another person. And it's what they're doing basically is trying to force a power balance. They want the power. They want to be able to push people around. They want to be the rooster or the chief hen in the chicken coop. And the bottom line is that the indirect aggression actually is various ways, like spreading rumors and things like that, doing damages to people, property, being mad, or being wary of a bully by getting frightened by them. And what it is that it causes emotional problems for the people that are being bullied, even at our age now, okay? And it causes them to be a victim and withdraw from everything around them to avoid that bully, and that's not fair to them.
So I can imagine in senior housing, over 55 situations where there's, let's say, a clubhouse or, events. I mean, I could see this in my mind playing out, but it does still make me think like you're in junior high and, the mean girls are sitting over there. So in this case, we have the mean adults. I feel like we haven't really changed. So, Vinny, share with us, like, what are some typical traits of bullies? And again, these are senior bullies, but you could be talking about kids.
It's something that they've probably been doing since maybe early teens, okay, or even earlier than that. Bullying can start at a very young age, and a person, if they don't get any help, it will just travel right on into adulthood. And the traits stay basically the same. The number one thing is lack of empathy. They have no understanding or care about the feelings of other people. They're hollow. They're hollow. They're just wanting to be aggressive so they can be what they really are. And that's a big trait of the bully, okay? What they want to do is they don't have any friends, what I call a posse. They might have 2 or 3 people standing behind them, okay? Yeah, go get him, stuff like that and all. But they're not friends, because guess what? If you confront that bully, that little group's going to disappear real quick, because they think the bully is bigger and tougher than they are. And when you take down the bigger, tougher ones, the little imps run away. But we also have situations where that bully needs power and control, because they didn't have it, and they were probably overpowered, over controlled, usually by parents, okay, or older siblings when they were younger. And what happens is that they struggle with individual differences between themselves and other people, and they don't want anybody shining more than them. And that means even just sitting there and smiling and being nice, but not a leader or anything, just they get all tied up with the problem of that other person is better than they are, and they go after them in many, many different ways. And they use the power and control at the expense of others, obviously. They have no esteem. They have low esteem.
Right.
They know they aren't anything to be proud of, but they cast that aside. Okay, they make believe that that's not even there, and they think they're better because they can bully people. Sometimes when people stand up to them, they shrink and they go away. Okay, and what happens with the trait of a bully basically is that it causes conflict, it threats, it makes less capable, fearful, and hurt. All right, they'll thrive upon the least strongest in the crowd or at that moment. But it's an unfortunate situation because they're emotionally scarred. Okay, that's what they are from earlier problems in life and problems they had and things along those lines.
I mean,
So
chances are these adult bullies were bullies when they were kids, or maybe
Most
they
likely.
were even bullied as kids.
Yeah, sometimes they just flip flop it. They were bullied and now they find that, oh, I might have a step up here and I'm going to be a bully. And it's surprising how sometimes, like if you want me to talk about the physical examples of bullying, I can do that for you. With that, we're talking about one of the main things is dirty looks. They'll walk into a room and they'll stare at you and they'll make that meanest face they possibly can. And that becomes basically an indirect bullying process, but they're saying, beware, look at me.
Right.
Okay. And people, regardless of your age or your strength or anything else, when you see someone give you a dirty look for no reason at all, the first thing is like, what's wrong with them? But then you become very wary of them. Bang, they opened up the door just by doing something like that. They'll have overbearing physical appearance. I've seen this happen time and time again in a community setting, in a housing. They'll stand over somebody until that person gets uneasy and gets up and they take that chair without saying anything. Or they might even say, that's my chair. I sit there every day. Get up. Okay. I've seen teachers do that in cafeterias too. So it's a bizarre, strange.
And I've seen, like that body language where you cross your arms and you just look at someone like, hey, you're in my way.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. They use their power and any control that they have at the expense of others. And in actuality, you got to remember that they do that because they have low esteem. It doesn't bother them that they do things like this. Sometimes it becomes physical, hitting, kicking, tripping, or any other physical contact. I've had cases where in senior homes and housing, they'll go up to that person's apartment and take magic markers and write nasty things on their door, okay, or steal their wreath at Christmas time or their whatever they may have up there as a decoration and things like that.
And again, we're talking about adults. We're talking about senior citizens. And I mean, in my heart of hearts, I would like to think by this stage in our life, we know better, but clearly we don't. We don't.
No, because the person that is a bully is emotionally scarred.
Yeah.
If they've had professional help, they're going to be that way. You can't change that on your own. You can't go from being a fake monster, okay, to a normal human being without help. It's just not emotionally possible. So that's one of the problems. They do a lot of stuff indirectly, but sometimes when that doesn't work, they go to that direct stuff too. They get right at you, and it's absolutely amazing. Verbal bullying is where they start. With verbal bullying, it's basically a passive aggressive type comment. Like I'm talking to you within hearing distance of the person I want to bully. And I'll say, how over there, look at those blue and white striped pants she's wearing. What is she, a clown from the circus or something with those pants? So they don't care about you, but they want that person to hear her talking about her or him, because it works both male and female.
It could be very intimidating for the person that it's directed against. And I could see how this could lead to somebody becoming very isolated and really very depressing.
Absolutely. One of the problems is what they do is that people will shrink back. They won't stand up for themselves or the proper way of doing things and how to create a positive environment. basically that if you're a victim of bullying of any type, especially once it becomes physical, because they might trip you, they might steal your walker, they'll do a lot of different things to intimidate you. But what you have to do is that you got to create a positive environment. Okay. And by doing that, it's not only you who's being bullied, but it's if you're living in a senior citizen home, that organization has to help. Or if it's within your own community, the other people in the community have to rally around you and help you out. You have to make it known that what this person is doing to you and why they're doing it probably and how they're doing it. So we can put the fences up there to make sure that they don't break over that wall and do anything that's totally, totally bad, because it can scar you and that would be psychological, but they can also go physically hurt you. So that has to be prevented. So you create a positive environment. So what you have to do basically, like if it's a group situation, you got to take away the tools of the bully, and reporting the bullying to the management is essential. And then management has to do something about it. The one place that I talked to you about where I first went to, I sat down with management after it and I did it for the people in that room. And the other thing is this, if you have a group and you say, we're going to have bullying, no bully should ever show up. They're not going to that event. They're not going to listen to me talk
Right.
or anybody else. So I work with those that may be suspect of being bullied, and then I work with the management, okay, or the community itself in that area. Sometimes it's a block association. Sometimes it's the whole community. I've had a community in Whiting, New Jersey, where it was really, really large. And I gave them a couple of different hits on doing it. Management should confront the bully, basically, if you have that situation, and assist that all bullying acts be stopped or removed from the group or the housing, or even just the club they belong to. So they need to actually report that act of bullying, okay, from that person to the appropriate person. They have to enforce rules set by the establishment and adhere to them. The very first rule, I tell them, there's no saving seats.
That potentially can lead to craziness. I know, just, yes,
Yep.
that's a good
I mean,
point
like,
right there.
if you live, you go to anywhere, you do anything, and you go to bingo, okay, and you come in and you want to sit down, and there's an open table, there's 5 chairs at the table, and you want to sit down, and all of a sudden, like, one person on that will say, like, you can't sit there, these are saved. Well, now you got confrontation right away. Who are they saved for? Why are they saved? They're not here. I need a seat. I don't see any other seats. That's what the person who can't be bullied would do. But the person that can be bullied, okay, for many, many different reasons and legitimate reasons, okay, they'll walk away. First thing I tell organizations and groups, no saving of seats or anything, or by the pool, just there's no saving, case closed. It's come in and sit as you can. That's the bottom line. That takes a lot of it. What they have to do is they have to make sure that they have penalties for violating these. You can warn them one time and they won't pay attention. You can tell them directly and say, if you do that again, okay, and blah, 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 you got to back the words up. You got to be like a parent to a little kid and say, if you do that again, you're out, you're gone. It's as simple as, and then carry it out, or else you're going to never have control. Okay, you're never going to have it civilized, right? Have group discussions with people that are seniors that are bullying. For instance, I know that you now have opening in-person meetings, because I was at that very first one I spoke. I'd love to come into an in-person meeting where we have a big group where I can talk about this subject to them personally and directly, and because that would be a good thing. So if you want me to do that, let me know.
Well, you know what, Vinny, before you even go on, so let me just tell all of our listeners that I will put all of Vinny's contact info in the comments. So if anyone is listening and you're part of a senior community or a senior center or any sort of senior organization where it would be valuable to have Vinny speak to a group, you can definitely reach out to him. I think it's really, I think it's worthwhile to talk about. And you know what else, Vinny? I feel like the idea, you know, if you see something, say something. Maybe you're not being bullied, but if you see it happening, don't ignore it.
Exactly.
I feel like it takes a village, and, you know, confront someone, or definitely speak to the management and make it known, because maybe the management, maybe they don't know. And if somebody doesn't speak up, they'll never know.
Yeah.
So you
And
have
let
to
me
get
just
involved.
also touch off one more part of bullying, which I said in the beginning. It's not always the people in the environment where you live. It's sometimes our children.
Yeah, that's really insidious. And I can imagine, yeah, talk about that, your own kids. Yeah, yeah.
Bullying by children is very, very common. And it's basically bullying, because what happens with a lot of times with children, for various reasons, okay, for financial gain, maybe they resented you bring them up the right way, and or they just want to take control of your life. Maybe sometimes for a good reason, but most of the time that happens for a bad reason. But bullying by children occurs. I have a friend of mine that's a Superior Court judge, and many of the cases that he hears, unfortunately, is, and he never tells me people's names or anything like that, but he can tell me facts of the case. You'll have one parent deceased and one parent alive, 80, 82 years old, not in good health. Those kids are in there already fighting over what that parent's leaving them. Maybe they're going to leave them a house and a bank account. So you have three children. And I'll give you a perfect example. A gentleman was left. The kids came in and said he left $3 million. It was a daughter and two sons. The daughter is getting 2, and 2 sons are splitting the other $1 million. Right away, big court case. Why am I only getting 500,000? Why is she getting, $2 million? And the basic is that our lawyer says she took him in, she kept him, she cared for him, she did everything right for him. And in his will, he left her 2. And the 2 sons that would call like maybe Christmas, Easter, and July 4th or something, like just a holiday, never come visit. And they all lived in New Jersey, very close. They were not really good sons. So what happened is that the judge says, really, why don't you just cut it down to $1 million apiece? Why are you going to be greedy? Because there's financial records that get involved in everything else for the people that are making a complaint plus the person. And none of them were poor. But sometimes children get greedy and want to fight everything that you left. Sometimes they do it while you're alive, and they try to take over your life and try to tell you, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, you got to do that. If you have any type of children that start to do that, you have to put a stop to it. And you can do it nicely. It's called having a third party at a discussion about that subject, okay? You have a trusted third party, and you can talk about your concerns and their demands. It could be a primary care physician, it could be a financial advisor, maybe a clergy member, okay? Or a legal rep. You can have a lawyer there if you want. And you should have arrangements for end of life in place, okay? That's so essential. And explore all options. So the idea is that don't let the child come in and say, you got to do this, you got to do that, do this, do that. It happens more than you think, and it's unfortunate circumstance. Of course, it's always kept quiet. It's never out in the public. The idea is that you still have control of your life. Do the right thing for the right reasons, not what somebody else wants that is not right, okay? So that's the other type of very
I feel like that's really elder abuse. That's abuse. That's absolutely abuse. Yeah.
They're bullying their parent. That's what they're doing. So.
And I think a lot of that probably does happen for money. And the examples that come to my mind for people that I've known in that situation, money was, Vinny, it was always about money. Yeah,
absolutely. So bullying is not a good thing. You don't always have to get physical. I can tell you a perfect example. I'm in the Pathmark. There's an elderly lady putting about 7, 8 items up there. And one guy has, and I'm going to say this guy was like late 20s, one little item in his hand. And he says, I'm going in front of her. Not can I, okay? Or the woman didn't know. He says, I'm going in front of her. And I just stood behind her and I went, I don't think so. So he goes, well, then I want to go in front of you. Because what are you talking about? Well, if you can go in front of her, I can go in front of you. See, I'm Jersey City born and bred. I'm not backing down from anybody. So bullying's never going to work with me. And it really annoyed me that young guy was trying to do that to that poor woman. Walk down 6 aisles where you can have less than 8 items and go there. Even if there's 2 or 3 people in front of you. that's the way to do it properly. But no, bullies will take advantage of everything they see when they can. Don't allow that to happen. Okay, just it's a thing. And if you need help from other people in your area, it takes a village, like you just said. That's a great.
Yeah. 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 I think again, if there's a quote that I always love to say it. Let me just make sure I say it right. Confidence is quiet. Insecurity is loud. And
Absolutely.
the bullies are always loud.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
and it really does come from a place of low esteem and a lack of confidence. And we should not be tolerating it at any age, certainly not as a senior. And the fact that 10 to 20% of seniors are bullied, men and women, if you see something, you absolutely need to speak up. You really do. I mean, this has to end. It really, and I feel like it won't end until more people speak up, right?
people have the right to be happy, and you have
Yeah.
to do what can help you to be happy.
Yeah, yeah,
Not threaten.
definitely, definitely. So, once again, I'll put Vinny's contact info. And if somebody wants to reach out to him, I know he would give a great, he's got a terrific PowerPoint presentation about bullying. And it's worth it. It's worth your time to really understand what it is and how we can stop it. And we can only stop it if we all work together. Yeah. Thank you very much, Vinny.
Thank you. Always a
Yeah.
pleasure.
An
Coming here
important topic, a very
and sharing
important
time with
topic.
you.
All
Be
right,
well.
remember
Take
out
care,
there,
everybody.
if it's important to you, it's important to us. I'm Andrea Tarr. We'll see you next time on Scam FYI. Bye, everyone. Bye, Vinny. Peace
Bye.
out.